Hi guys! So the magical day that we've all been waiting for has finally arrived. Hobonichi have released their entire 2019 lineup and I'm really excited to go through it with you. I had the feeling just from the previews that they've been releasing over the past few weeks that this year was going to have some really cool stuff, and indeed I have not been disappointed. So let's start off by looking at the A6 size. I'm not usually a huge fan of the basic colors range of covers, but I think this year they've got some quite nice ones. So the first one that I like is this black and sky blue, which I think is just a really nice contrast with the very plain basic black and then this nice light blue on the inside. And it also kind of reminds me of the first cover that I ever bought from Hobonichi, which was a dark blue and then a light blue, so it's kind of nostalgic. The second one that I like is the matcha. That could be because I am a huge fan of green tea and everything green tea related, and I think that it really does look like matcha. It just has a very evocative quality. The green on the outside really reminds me of matcha, and then I think it's a nice contrast with the paler green on the inside. So it just reminds me of green tea, and that makes me happy. Next, I think that there's some really pretty colors here on this row, and the stripes is an interesting one, but none of these really speak to me. I actually don't plan on getting any A6 covers because I'm not using an A6 Hobonichi and I just can't figure out a use for one, much as I have tried. So I've had to ban myself from even considering buying any more covers. But I think that some of these are really interesting. I kind of like this pixel patterns. I like the pixelated nature of it, and I like the images of all the different Mother 2 characters, but I don't really like the color scheme, which is, I think, fortunate because otherwise I would find it more difficult to resist. And then this photorealistic one with the figurine images, I really like the pencil board that comes along with this, but I'm not so keen on the actual cover, which again is a good thing. Now these ones, the Doraemon covers, I had never heard of this character or this cartoon, so I somehow just completely missed that. And so this one doesn't really mean much to me, but it seems like this is going to be quite a popular one. And then nothing on this line really spoke to me. I like the A5 version of this one, which is completely different, and I'll show you that in a moment. And I think other than that, there was nothing on that row that really grabbed me. Now, this is a different matter because I am really, really taken with this Shakespeare cover. So let's have a closer look at that. So this was a complete surprise to me because I thought that they were going to feature all of the really new and unusual stuff in the preview, so I wasn't expecting anything as dramatic as this. I've never seen a cover like this before from Hobonichi, and I just was really taken with it, partly because I've been doing a research project on Hebrew translations of Shakespeare, and so I've been involved in quite a lot of Shakespeare stuff in terms of work, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. And I think it looks really cool. I'm a bit surprised by their choice of the third folio for the cover because the image is mostly dedicated to this list of plays which, except for Pericles, are generally agreed not to have been written by Shakespeare, and they were just put into the third folio. So I'm surprised that they didn't use an image from the first folio. But anyway, I still really like it. And then it's got this quote from Hamlet on the back. So I think that this is really, really cool, and it would have been quite tough to resist my A6 cover shopping ban were it not for the fact that these bookmarks turn out to be leather, so I wouldn't buy it anyway, which is really a shame on the one hand, but on the other hand is probably good because, like I said, I don't need any more A6 covers anyway. So I really like this day camp cover. I was quite intrigued by it when they released the preview, and the only thing I didn't like about it was that I wasn't a huge fan of the yellow, and also I didn't need an A6 cover. So I was pleasantly surprised when it turned out that they've released one in A5 as well, which I'll show you soon. I like this logo hobo, but Other than that, this one doesn't really speak to me. Now, I was really surprised by this lace cover. This was another one that I think is kind of so different that I sort of expected it to be in the preview. So this one is a very interesting one. Flowery lace. I think this is beautiful. And if I were using an A6 Hobonichi, then I think that this would definitely be on my list. I just think it's really pretty and delicate, and I like the white with the linen, and it kind of reminds me of the Ukrainian flowers cover, which is one of my favorites, in that it has that same sort of natural linen color, and then in combination with the lace, I just think it's really pretty. So this is definitely one of my favorites. I'm not a huge fan of any of the Minna Perhonen covers. I have actually never bought a Minna Perhonen cover. I have got their mermaid drawer pouch, but that's the only one of their designs that I've got. I kind of like this one, the Sora Check, but only mildly, like not enough to actually sort of consider putting it on my list. Which again is good because there's so many things that are already on my list. And the rest of these A6 covers are leather, so we'll skip over them. This one is kind of bittersweet, I think, because it's Shigesato Itoi's dog who passed away, and that just made me really sad. So I'll now go on to the cousin covers. There's nothing that really grabbed me here from the colors lineup, but when you get down to this row, I fell in love with the alphabet maze already when they showed it in the preview. So let's have a look at that. This is definitely going on my list. So I really like orthographies and different scripts, and so this just spoke to me because of that. And I think it's a nice mix of colors. It's, you know, really lively and bright. I had never heard of this series of books, so I didn't have any connection to it that way, but I really like how one of the pen loops is yellow and the other one is red, and then I like these little beads on the bookmark. So I think all in all it's just a very bright, colorful design, and I really like the alphabet theme. And I think that for me this would be perfect for my work planner because I'm a linguist and I teach languages, and so I really like this one. I also quite like this one, the Petit Fleur. Not enough to put it on my list, but I think it's quite pretty. But the one that I'm really taken with is Day Camp Mountain. This is just awesome, I think. So let's look at this. So if you've been looking at the previews, which you probably have, then you have already seen the yellow version, and it's a really interesting design. So this is made out of tarp, like tent material, or, you know, like tarps for covering things outside. So it's really rugged and tough. And I love this green color. It's just like a bright emerald green. It looks really rich and happy and vibrant. I've never had a trifold before, and it's never really particularly appealed to me, but there's something about this design that I just really like. So I like the fact that it has a zip pocket on the inside, and it also has a pocket on the outside like the standard Hobonichi covers, and I really like the metal snaps. It just looks somehow really like crisp and smart, I think. And then it's got the two bookmarks, which is great, and it has the traditional Hobonichi pockets and a pen loop. So I think it has everything that you'd want from a Hobonichi cover, but it's in this very different looking package, which is intriguing. And the fact that it's so rugged, I think, is also appealing because you don't really have to worry about it getting scratched or worn in the way that you might with some of the more delicate covers. So I really, really like this one. I also like the yellow A6, but I'm happy that the A5 version is in green because I like that better. Then again, I like this Hobo logo, but not enough to really like the cover as a whole. I think that this Liberty London Fabrics Luna Meadow is quite pretty. It looks like a very delicate print, and I like the tassel, but I'm not a huge fan of the zip around covers. I think because they make the planner look less like a book, and I like it when it looks like a book. And then again, the Mina Perhonen design, this one is kind of, I like the design of the tree, but I think it's the colors, the color combination that just somehow doesn't really appeal to me. And then again, this one I sort of mildly like, but not enough for it to be a strong contender. Let's go down to the weeks. Okay, so there are a lot of really interesting things going on with the weeks this year as well. The first one that I absolutely love is this cactus design. This is by Bo and Tai, who are the same designers that made the coffee bean weeks for 2018, and I really regret not buying that, because all year I've just been following it and seeing it on other people's Instagrams and thinking, why didn't I buy that one? I was kind of torn, and then I went for the Magicant map and I kind of regretted it. So this one reminds me of that, and it's just a really cute design. I like cactuses. They're like the only plant that I would ever contemplate having, because I would know that there would be less chance that I would kill them. But I think they're really cute as well. And this is just a really happy design. So I like this one. If I were getting a standard weeks, then I think this is the one I would go for, but I've decided to get a weeks mega, which I'm really excited about. So sadly, I am not going to be going for the cactus, but I am looking forward to seeing it on other people's YouTube channels and Instagram, because I think it looks great. The boar piglets are also cute. For some reason, I don't like them quite as much as the cactus. And then the pin dots kind of reminds me of the coffee beans, which obviously feels very bittersweet, because I wish that I had bought that instead of this one. I like the coffee beans, but it's a similar sort of pattern. But as I said, I am going for the weeks mega anyway. So there are some other interesting designs here. Drink Coffee Before Go, I think, is a great name for the weeks. And again, this uses those figurines from Mother 2, which I think is a kind of a cool idea. But the cover design itself doesn't really grab me. Something about the white background, I think, I don't know. I kind of like it, but I much prefer the pencil board design. And then here's another Doraemon cover, which I think is kind of nice, but again, like the character doesn't really mean anything to me, and so it's not enough to grab me. I think that the games cover, the Can You See What I See line, is sort of interesting, but I much prefer the Alphabet Maze, which again, for me, works out well, because that is actually the one size planner that I need. Well, I don't really need it. I suppose one might say I have enough covers for my cousin, but we don't say that kind of thing in the Planner Addict community, do we? So I think this 109 Face Painter is sort of interesting, and I really like the name. I think it's a great name. It reminds me of a sort of like 1930s detective comic, like The Shadow, which I think is kind of cool. But again, I'm getting a Weeks, so it cannot tempt me. Sorry, a Weeks Mega. Now, here come the megas. So one thing that I was wondering about when they're releasing the previews is whether the Weeks Mega was only going to come out in the sneaker version with the soft cover, or whether it was also going to be available in a hardback version. And it looks like it's available in both. So now I have a dilemma, because I'd already solved one dilemma. I decided to get a Weeks Mega. And now I'm just confused as to whether I should get the sneaker version or the hardback. So the sneaker version, which you will all have seen in the previews, is identical to the standard Weeks Mega, except that it has this soft cover, which I think is really quite appealing, because the Weeks has always been a hardcover version, and so the idea of having this soft cover, I think if you like soft cover Moleskines or Leuchtstroms, I feel like it would have a similar kind of feel, or Stalogy notebooks. And I really like the feel of Stalogy notebooks, so I'm picturing something like that, and I think that that could be quite cool. See how it's like bendy and stretchy, and I think it would, because it's so chunky, I think it would be really satisfying. So it just has this like kind of really nice chunky softback looking feel, which I think would be great. So I kind of want to try it, just because, you know, they've never had one like this before, and I think because it's Hobonichi, it will be really good quality, and I'm not worried about the binding falling apart or anything like that. So I don't think that the fact that it's soft back means that it's going to be less durable. And they emphasize in their description that it's supposed to be rugged and something that you can carry around with you everywhere. So I'm really tempted by that just because I'm used to the hardback Weeks version, and this is something new and exciting. So I think that I'm going to go for the sneaker version. But then they've also got the standard hardback versions in the colors line. So they don't have any of the cool designs like the cactus or anything like that. They've got these few different colors. And of those, if I was going to go for one of them, it would have to be the navy, just because I don't really like pink or this kind of grayish denim, and I'm not a huge fan of the yellow, so or the scarlet really. So I think the only one that it could possibly be, I guess, is this one. And this one doesn't feel really exciting to me. It's like, okay, it's a hardback Weeks and it's navy. Navy's like, to me it feels kind of serious and important. And my Weeks is my personal planner, so it's for everything that's not work related, and so it's a bit more fun, and I use a lot of stickers in it, and so I'd kind of like to go for something more fun. The Sneakers Weeks is also quite plain. It's a matte blue, but it's a kind of bright blue, so it feels a bit more exciting, and because it's soft back and it's new, that feels a little bit more edgy to me, so I think I'm going to go for that. But I'm glad that they've got the hardback versions as well, because it's just nice to know that they're there if you'd rather have the hardback. And then none of these Weeks covers appealed to me really. Most of them have a leather zip, and they're also zip covers, which, like I said, I'm not really that keen on. This one kind of intrigued me, the Combi Black, but I think that it says when you click on it that it's available in Japan only, so that sort of ruled it out for me. It might be available on some of those sites like Japanesey Shopper, but you know, obviously I don't know yet. And in any case, because it's a zip cover, it's probably not something that I would in the end up going for, but I think it's really cool how you can see through to the Weeks cover underneath. So especially if you've got one of the really cute covers like the cactus cover, my all-time favorite, and you had this cover, this mesh is kind of gridded and translucent, so you can see through to the Weeks cover underneath it, and I think that's a really cool feature. So I like that, and that comes in 3 different colors. And then if we go down to the 5-year Techo, this was another big exciting surprise for me this year, that they're introducing an A5 5-year Techo. I have the A6 5-year Techo, and I use it as a gratitude log and memory keeper for writing down highlights of the day. So when they first announced that they were coming out with an A5 size, I was like, wow, that's amazing, but what could I possibly use it for? So I thought and put quite a bit of work into trying to find a use for it. And I finally came up with the idea of using it as a coloring book. So I actually used one of my first ever Hobonichis as a coloring book. Because it's got the gridded lines, it's perfect for coloring in different shapes and geometric patterns with the boxes with like different colors. And I kind of missed having that. And so I thought a 5-year Techo is perfect for that, because you've got one spread on the right, which you can use for 5 years. And then on the left, you can put in like a little title for what you were thinking about that day, or maybe like a word of the day. So that's how I'm thinking of using it, just as a kind of mindfulness relaxation tool. And so I was really excited about that. And then I was also excited when I saw that they had introduced this beautiful cover with the gift box set, and so I was hoping that they would introduce it separately, and I have been quite sad today to discover that they haven't. It's only available in this gift set together with the A6 5-year Techo. And like, I have to say, this looks like an amazing set, but you know, you'd need to have a use for the 5-year Techo or have someone in mind who you could give it to, and that's a shame because I don't. And I wish that I did, because I just think that this cover is so beautiful. And this is something that I've been wishing for since last year when they came out with the 5-year Techo for the first time. I wish that they had some great covers for it, because as most of you probably know, the standard A6 covers don't fit it. And I was really disappointed, because I thought, great, I can finally have a use for all of my A6 covers. But no, it's too thick for them. So I think that it would be amazing if they would sell this separately, because I'm sure it would be really popular. It's such a beautiful cover. It's just, I think it has amazing colors. I love the symmetry. I just love everything about it, and I really like this tassel. I think it's beautiful, and it would be perfect for the 5-year Techo. So I'm really irked about the fact that they're not selling it separately, only in this gift set. And I'm also kind of surprised that they're not selling any covers like this for the A5, because they only have these 2 leather covers for the 5-year Techo, which I think is a shame. So that's basically it. That is the entire 2019 Hobonichi cover lineup. I think they're still going to be announcing some more interesting stuff over the coming days, and they're going to be telling us about the new accessories, or more of them, because some of them they've already previewed. But I think all in all, there's a lot of really great stuff that's going to be available, and I can't wait for it to go on sale. I'm a bit nervous about how this 3-day launch is going to pan out, because it means I'm going to have to get up at like 4 in the morning, so I'm going to be in Copenhagen when it launches to order stuff. But there you are. That's part of the Hobonichi experience. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you're excited about the lineup as well, and wish you all the best for the difficult decision of which covers to buy this year. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!